everybody, let me just a little bit of who our next guy person is. His name is Gary Bergman. Woo! I'm still tearing it up, but I just took a snippet. Listen to this. Trump grants full pardon for a third former Border Patrol agent. It says he was a agent and Coast Guard veteran Gary. It's like B. Brugman. Woo! Got it. It says the petition follows by one day that the president's action to pardon two or more former agents. It says President Donald Trump granted a full pardon to Gary, the White House said in a written statement Wednesday. His clemency is supported by numerous elected officials, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senators Ted Cruz, and John Cohen. It says Representative Louis Gohmert. Hey, Louis! It says, and Representative Ted Poe, and also Stephen King, and Representative Gosher. It says also Jones, and you know what? It boils down to Trump. Trump has a good heart for our leaders and our military, our veterans, our Border Patrol, and just us as American citizens, period. So I'm not going to talk anymore for him because they could talk for themselves. And I always wanted to know why he became a martyr. So bring him on. Everybody want to introduce you to Gary, and we're going to leave it at that. Go ahead, Dave. Hey, Gary.
Hello, ma'am. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Okay, say your last name.
Brugman. You said it right. Brugman.
Brugman. And I'm just going to call you from Gary when I meet you face to face.
That's fine.
Stan said you need to reach out, and I said we're going to play this after our interview because I want people to know about the border invasion. Not only the border invasion, what you did to get you in trouble, quote unquote, and what do you see coming up the pipeline, and how do you feel of you stepping back in, if asked, to help the border if Tom Homan calls?
Well, ma'am, like you said earlier before, I served 9 years in the Coast Guard from 89 to 98. I got out of the Coast Guard and immediately went into the Border Patrol. Like, I got discharged February 22nd of 1998, and February 23rd, I was swearing in. So I spent like 10 hours unemployed. Went to the Border Patrol in Eagle Pass, got sent to the Academy. The Academy was pretty intense back in 98. And went down to the border and continued serving the country. And I'll tell you, when I first got there, it was like the Wild West. I thought I had seen everything in the Coast Guard, tragedy and rescues, and I thought I'd seen it all. I wasn't ready for what I saw when I got there. And when I got there, it was just like I felt like I was on the front line. I was on the edge of the country, the very front line, protecting our country from invasion, because that's what it was back then. We had groups coming in every year. We'd catch a group on one corner, and when they see we'd had some people apprehended, they'd run in through another corner, like oh, they're busy, we're going in. It was crazy, and I served proudly and had a good career going. Had my whole career planned, and then
I don't, because I'm trying to fathom you kicking somebody and doing your job, which is to stop these people from coming in our country, and you felt he was a threat. How did it turn on you doing your job?
Well, the technique that I use is called a front kick. But what I actually did, I put my hand on my weapon, and the guy was squatting down, and the agent had his back turned. I didn't know if he was going to run away or jump the agent. So I ran up because I had chased him for a mile and a half. I put my hand on my weapon, and I used the bottom of my foot, and I did kick him, but I kind of pushed him to the ground, So it wasn't like I wound up like a field goal or something. I pushed him with the bottom of my foot from the squatting to the sitting position. And to be honest with you, I don't know. We had 12 weeks later, I got pulled inside the office. I got my weapon taken away from me, and I got put on behind the desk, working the infrared cameras for 18 months, an 18-month investigation. And when they took me to trial after those 18 months, not once had an investigator come talk to me. So I don't know how they came up with it, because nobody ever asked me my version of the story.
Here's another question. Good, because we're talking as layman folks right now. Somebody breaking in your house, you drop kick them. You're supposed to. And the southern border is our house. And you don't know who this person was. Him squatting, that is immediately jump up position and ready to tackle you. So you had to eliminate the threat, especially if your partner or the person that you was on patrol on wasn't watching their own backs. You saw and you stopped. You didn't hurt the guy. You just drop kicked him. Now let's think about if you was a soldier and let's just take a communist country. Let's say North Korea. And you have a South Korean running across the militarized zone, they're going to get taken out. There's not going to be any questions about it. We are a country, a nation. That's the military job, is not to let foreigners in here. You don't know these people. You don't know if they're coming in here, peace or to create war. And if they're army age men, aren't the army age men on our side supposed to take them down?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And mind you, it wasn't one. There were 15 of them. So it was 2 agents and 15. I was chasing a group of 15. And like I said, the other agent, the rookie agent, was trying to get them to sit, but there were 2 behind his back. He had his back turned, and they had their bags, and they were squatting. They were doing this number, and I didn't know if they were going to run. And I did exactly textbook what they taught me in the academy. I put my hand on my weapon, and I used my leg as an extension of my arm, because I'm not gonna go and put my hands on somebody. I don't know if they're gonna, like you said, turn around and jump me. I pushed them down, and that was it. That's all I did.
Only thing I just saw when you just described that is it's like did you ever watch Bruce Lee growing up? And it would be a time where he is actually assessing the situation and how many people are around him, and you're trying to get to the closest one that's closer to you and eliminate that threat, but you are willing to take on all 15 if necessary to protect your veteran. And you said he was a rookie. So that means you had a senior authority to watch his 6, not only watch the 6, but do your constitutional paid job is to protect our homeland. And then the pencil pushers that don't want to protect that, that's what I've never gotten. It's not the agents. It's never the border patrol. It's not the people, the boots on the ground. It's always the pencil pushers that makes it hard to protect our nation.
Correct. And again, with everything going on, everybody blames the Border Patrol for letting everybody in. Oh, you guys just let them walk. You guys just do this. It's not the agents. It comes from up above. I got friends in other services and other agencies, and we push each other's buttons and stuff. Got some friends in the Marshals Service, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are just the welcome mat. You guys are like the TSA on the front lines." And we're like, "Dude, you'd be doing the same thing if your top brass told you to do it." It's like you said, they politicize everything, and the Border Patrol is one of the most politicized agencies that there is because it deals with immigration, it deals with races.
How is that racism? Because these people, how is that racism when they're not allowed to be here? They're not supposed to be here. So calling that a racism is a misnomer, because majority of the time you don't have no idea where these people come from. So having the stigma of racism, implying that to foreigners that don't even use our own dialect or words, that's a misnomer, because it doesn't make any sense when a majority of them are dark skinned. You know what? They got militant. Okay, sir, do you think sleeper cells are in America?
Absolutely. 100%. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay, I keep going, but because
there's no doubt in my mind with
what
all
should
of
we
the people.
do? What should we do as being regular citizens of America? What do you advise us?
Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your eyes out, because it's everywhere. Like what just happened down in New Orleans. Everybody's expecting to have a good time. When there's groups of people like that, if you had a celebration, a holiday, or anything, that's when you're most vulnerable, because that's an excellent point of attack. You got to keep your head on a swivel. There's really not much you can do, officially, because it's the government that really needs to come down on it. But keep your eyes out. You see something, you say something, and just keep your head on a swivel. That's the main thing. Be alert. Stay vigilant. Stay safe. And if it comes down to it, and you have to protect yourself or others, be savage. That's my motto. You got to be savage whenever you're trying to protect your loved ones and yourself.
I know. Chair, what do we call Tom Homan now? I mean, what would his official title be?
The borders are.
The borders are come online, which is only 5 days away. I can't stop being giddy on this. If he pick up that phone in 4 days and say, Gary, I need you. I need you. Not only do I need you because of your background, I need you for your warrior spirit and your warrior guidance, especially for the newcomers. Can you help me? Will you go back on board?
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I'd be like, time and place. That's all we need, you know. And I know Tom Homan, and I know a lot of one of my best friends is Mr. Victor Avila, who was an ICE agent. He was about 15 years ago in 2011, 14 years ago. There were two ICE agents that were ambushed in Mexico. And they murdered Agent Jaime Zapata. They were ambushed by the Zetas cartel. My friend Victor is the other agent that was in the vehicle with him. He got shot 3 times with an AK-47. And me, him, and Tom, and Sarah Carter, and several other people, part of Border 911, we've gone along the border to educate people and tell them exactly what you asked me, what to look out for, what to expect, tell them a bunch of stats, and just educate them on the things that are happening on the border. But yes, I would go in a heartbeat.
Last year I had I met Mr. Holman. I don't know how many times he calls me grandma. That's the only thing he can figure out. You got 9 grandbabies, and you how old? It's a big thing. But Mr. Say his name, Avila, Avila. Avila. Me and my husband met him at the NRA convention. We had the honor of supporting him and awarding him last year for his border patrol. You know what he did, and to meet him and his family, they are some great people. And to be left high and dry by our own government when y'all are standing in the gap for 328 million other people that don't see the dangers. Y'all try to stop the danger. You try to stop the flow of drugs. You try being even in the National Guard. You try to keep our coastlines, clean and service, and the criminals are not getting there. And it just seemed like ever since all of this started, a lot has been pulled back because y'all stories are getting out there even more. What do you want to see when it comes to not only the Border Patrol agency, but also Homeland Security? After everything that we've had to deal with the Biden administration and what has been pulled back for everyone to see, what do you want to see corrected?
Well, there's a lot of things that need to be corrected, especially not only the ones that I want to see. But first off, what I really want to see and what I can't wait for, and I've actually been started making some Facebook posts about it, about the Border Patrol saying, gentlemen, start your engines, is because they're going to be able to do their jobs again, finally. During President Trump's administration, I kept in touch with a lot of my Border Patrol friends. That's where I get a lot of my intel from. And the morale and just the love of service was in the Border Patrol. The esprit de corps, everything was there. And it just went to hell in a handbasket with this administration because they had their hands tied and they got blamed for everything from whipping people with horse reins and to you name it. But right now, what I can't wait for is for Tom Homan and President Trump to unleash the Border Patrol and allow them to do their jobs because, man, we don't need any new laws. We don't even need more agents. What we need is for the government to let the agents that we have now enforce the laws that are on the books, and we'll shut down the border. And I know this because I did it 20 years ago when there was a lot less agents, and a whole lot more border. We did it. I was stationed in Eagle Pass and we shut that whole area down. Illegal aliens were going all the way down to Laredo to come across to try to get to San Antonio, and they were getting caught by the Border Patrol down there. And they were like, well, if you cross there, why are you coming down here? And they said, we can't get through Eagle Pass. We can't get through Eagle Pass. There we go.
Stan said you was there. You was there. Not only there, you was, because a lot of people haven't seen this movie yet. And like I said, we're going to show it right after. I normally do a 2-hour show. We're just going to go on because people need to see this. People need to see the truth. So tell them a little bit about not only this movie, The Border Invasion, but from your point of view and what they're going to see in this movie. Why do you know, not think, why do you know it's so dire to not only our national security, but everything we hold dear?
Well, because a lot of people are losing their lives. A lot of these illegal aliens coming from other countries, they die along the way. They die crossing the river. Little girls get raped. Women get raped multiple times a day. They die of famine out in the brush during the summer heat. It gets to 120 degrees out there, and they find them dead all over the place. They die drowning, I know they're trying to find a better life, but, go through the ports of entry, do things right, And that movie shows while we were filming that movie, there's a good partner because we had some people coming across, and we actually got to talk to them. I worked security for them during the filming of that movie. Victor's in that movie, and at the very end, me and Victor have a little bonus where I tell my story at the end. But it's a really good movie. But yeah, it's a dangerous place. The border's a war zone. You
One
know,
thing
to
that
get across, you're putting your life at risk coming here.
there was one scene in the movie, and it shows photo ID, driver's license, social security cards, just thrown on the ground, and all these people, they look like us. Like they're American citizens. They got their identification snatched from them, and they're coming over here pretending to be someone else. That's what it looks like to me. They took our identity and they're using it to come over here illegally, and then they just throwing them on the ground for y'all to pick up.
Well, you know what it is there, a lot of them are coming here and declaring asylum. But a lot of those people have actually left their countries and found a home somewhere else. A lot of them have gone to Chile, to Peru, and other places, and have actually established homes there. But when they found out that the United States was open, they've gotten rid of everything and made their way here for a better life than what they already had. But the thing is, if they've gone to another country from theirs, they're no longer eligible for asylum. All right, because if you've gone somewhere and have established yourself, then you're good. You don't need to come here. So they get rid of their identification so that they won't know where they're from.
So
You
what
know,
about
so
all? What do you think about all these different presidents from these other countries last week and the week before saying we're going to push back against Donald Trump? We don't want our citizens anymore. You can keep them, and if you try it, then we're going to turn against America. Don't we fund these countries and take your people back? What's wrong with them taking these criminals and insane asylums and rapists back in their own countries?
well, they thought they got one over on the United States because we had a weak president. We had a weak president in Joe Biden and a weak administration with Mayorkas running it. So they thought they were going to get away with everything. They said, you know what? It's time for us to cleanse. It's time for us to reboot. They never expected Donald Trump to come back in office and send those people back and give them their problems back. And you know what? If they don't want to take them back, that's fine. We're going to send them back anyway. Donald Trump's going to cut the funding to their countries. And, when they lose their billions of dollars, I'm sure they'll have a change of heart.
I forget the female. And the female, is it Mexico that just came out and was pushing back against President Trump and what she's going to do? Ma'am, you and your cartels are the problem. So maybe if you clean up the cartels at the southern border and those mules and the traffickers, maybe it'll be a little bit better down there. But for her to come out here and say what she's not going to do tells me she's going to be a part of the problem on her side of that line.
Yeah, she's become a big loudmouth. But again, I'm absolutely positive her tune will change when President Trump decides not to send her 10, $15 billion like we send them every year. Because that's going to be a big hurt on her, and she'll change her tune. I'm not even worried about it. President Trump's gotten people to do things that no other president has.
Now mass deportation,
Yes.
deportation. Okay, now how you feel about this? Because the only way that I'm figuring this is going to be able to be pulled off, they're going to have to clear the jails first of the illegals that's already there and deport them back, and then they're going to have like a Super Bowl raffle. This is only the way I'm thinking of it. A Super Bowl raffle, hey, send out whoever name they are on their Obama phones or Biden phones and say, meet us at this Crenshaw Boulevard. We have more privileges and money for you. And as they walk through the door, you have the Border Patrol agents and you arrest them right then and there. I don't know. I've been thinking for a while. What's some suggestions? Because we're going to get some pushback. And when I say we, I'm talking about the American citizens that want us to close the dang old borders and make them come over here the right way. What are some ideas that you might can suggest humanely and not a CF-4 airplane with a trap door at the bottom? What did you? Because my husband keeps saying that just open up a trap door. Anyway,
I like the
can't
way
do
it thinks.
that. Y'all can't do that because they're gonna start screaming Nuremberg Code or some crap like that. What can we do to get these people out here without pulling that secret or sleeper cell or calling to war? Because that's what's going to happen. Because it's 21 million illegal 21, 25 that has been walking across the border since 2021. when they start seeing their homeboys and their friends getting deported, do you think that is when they're going to turn on the American citizens?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. See, it becomes a tricky situation because here's the thing, all right? Taking the catapults out of the question, okay? No catapults, all right?
Okay.
So there's going to be, what we're going to have to go after are going to be the criminal aliens first, all right? The criminal aliens, because they're the ones doing the destruction, the trained Aragua guys, and, but the thing that's going to become a problem is, okay, so these people are here technically illegally, but a lot of them came in through that CBP1 act. All right, they use that CBP1 act, and even though that act was used illegally by the government, because they paroled everybody into the country and they did it wrong, they did it illegally. They do have some kind of status. They were paroled into the country, so they have a status. So they actually have to go in front of a judge before they get deported. It's just not like snatch and go, snatch and go. We're gonna have to snatch them up. We're gonna have to house them and bring them before a judge, and then they're gonna go. All right, and how they're gonna do that? It's mainly gonna have to go through a lot of intelligence, a lot of intelligence on the street, a lot of intelligence with local police departments, the community. It's just a lot intel because they're not just gonna grab them up off the street. That's not gonna happen, And if we're going after the criminal aliens, mind you, there's going to be some innocence in there too, because if they're in the way, then what? You're here illegally too. Sorry, it's mom and pop, but you're going to have to go too.
Well, why not utilize the USP, the United States Penitentiary Department, how they process? If you ever worked in SHU, if you ever worked in intake, it's a quick procession. It's a quick procession. You get them in, you get them processed, you get them out.
I've never worked in the SHU or intake, but I've been there.
So, they have to go through certain stages, certain rooms, certain doors. So we know that, let's just take a whole floor of SHU or a penitentiary. You have 3, 4, 10, 15 judges set in 15, 20 different cells. So they're all processing these people in at the same time. You got a buster, drop them off. They all go there, get their shots, bend over, cough. You ain't got nothing. Okay, sit down. Here's in front of the judge. Here's the deportation lawyer. Here's your lawyer. Okay, deny. Here's a bus that's gonna take you out, and then we finna send you to an airport and you get your ass home. I mean, we got the money to do it, and we got the prison cells to do it too.
And there are so many, you would not believe how many criminal aliens are in our prisons. It is, I cannot believe the amount of illegal aliens that are in our prison working for Unicor. These people are making the body armor that our federal agents wear. They're making the parts it's all Unicor. That's where a lot of these illegal aliens work, because they want the big jobs, because they're in there for a long time for smuggling drugs. They work in Unicor, and each penitentiary, each federal prison has a Unicor factory, and some make furniture, some make canvas clothing or canvas materials, and others make electronics for our fighter jets.
Wait one flipping moment. You mean to tell me that is a part of the military-industrial complex too?
That's who makes everything for the military, is our inmates.
Wait a minute. When I first the Bureau of Prison is using sweatshops as to actually funded by the military-industrial complex.
Always has. But it's not only the military. They make all the office furniture in our federal buildings. All the couches, all the tables, all the desks, anything labeled Unicor is made in our federal prisons. In 1998, when I first went into the military, I was issued my body armor. It was made by Unicor.
Is this also the reason why they privatize a whole bunch of prisons? Because you can use this free, cheap labor to continue to fund and build war machines. And then it's a vicious cycle that no one ever leaves. But the rich keep getting richer. Good goo. And you mean the pencil pushers now can get fat cats and continue to trade shares while sitting on the board of directors of these same military-industrial complexes?
It's one vicious circle, man. It's one vicious circle. And a lot of those guys that work in that Unicor thing are the illegal aliens, because they want the jobs. Because you know how they say on the outside that the foreigners take all the jobs that the Americans don't want. It's the same thing in prison. It's the same thing in prison. The illegals go in there and do all the work because it's a Monday through Friday, all day long thing. While the other guys just want to hang out. And, when I say other guys, I mean white people, black people, Chinese. They just want to hang out and play handball and do nothing all day in prison.
And then this year, you had a whistleblower get in a committee hearing and admitted that the federal government was paying mules to bring people over here, and then, quote unquote, they disappear into the system. No, they just assigned a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't doubt that one bit. I don't know much about that, but yeah, I don't doubt it one bit. But that's what's happening inside our prisons. We got a bunch of factories, and these guys make $1.25 an hour.
So
when
no
when when I was
wonder they've been invested. So do you think this is the reason why Adam Schiff? You got a senator from, I guess, Hawaii, and all these Democratic senators been giving a lot of pushback against Pete and Pam Bundy today about are they going to accept the I guess the WHO code or the World Economic Forum or NATO's code when it comes to foreigners or illegals, and if not, then they're going to get kicked out. Because they're getting paid from it too. They're getting kickbacks. They're getting they palms greased to say, look to the side and don't protect the southern border, because guess what? It's a lucrative industry. So our own sitting representatives are ignoring the fact that we're being invaded because they're getting paid or on a board to get paid from it too.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit, man. I mean, that's the way it always works. That's the way it always works. But yeah, that's a great place to start is the federal prisons, because we got a bunch of them there. Get them all out.
Woo. Oh, you got 10. We still got 10 more minutes. So go ahead. We get next topic, whatever you want to talk about, because we're at a pivotal point. We got 5 days left. But as we are pulling back the covers, and you've been in this way longer than a whole bunch of the rest of us have, what do you see since you've been out and what you can legally say? What can you warn us against? What is some warnings or topics or situations we need to be paying attention to, being regular layman's people and citizens of the United States?
Ms. Hughes, it's again the best thing that any regular civilian with no military training, just a layman out there can do is keep your eyes open, keep themselves and their families safe. Be vigilant, be safe, be vigilant. And when it comes down to it and you have to defend yourself, don't hold back. Be savage, protect yourself, protect your family. And we're Americans. This is our country. And I for one will continue fighting for it. When I first got out of the prison, I was a little bitter because I had to transition back. I became real institutionalized while I was inside. And I mean, I was one that and now I feel bad about saying this, but I was one when I first got out of prison. I would cross my arms and I wouldn't stand for the national anthem because I thought the country crossed me. And then I had some good people. Huh?
It wasn't the country. It was the pencil pushers. It was the evil.
I realized that. I had a bunch of people. I had a man come into my life, and he's still part of my life. Talked to him this morning, and he's a restaurateur and he helps Congress down in Houston. And he called me on the phone. I didn't know who this person was. Somebody had told him my story. And this is when I first got out of prison. And he apologized to me for the country. He goes, I'm sorry, on behalf of the people of the United States, I apologize for what you've been through. I'm so embarrassed that this has happened to you. And, he's a bit of a money guy. He goes, and if you allow me to, I'm in a unique position to help you change your life.
Amen.
And I was like, you're going to help me change my life? You don't even know me. He goes, that doesn't matter. He goes, I commit to you. 18 years later, he's still at my side, and I don't know what I would do without that man. So he helped me, and a lot of people helped me start a business at the time. I went out of business thanks to Cash for Clunkers, but I had a lot of people donate money to me to help me start my business, and I got letters. And that's when I started realizing we the people didn't do this to me. It was the government. And I love government, and I believe in government, but government falls into the hands of the wrong people. And I got a letter from a young little girl who donated $7.62 for me, and because she didn't know what was going on, and she sold lemonade at her father's poker games, and she usually donated it to vets. And he told her my story, and she sent me that with a letter. And I met her a couple of years ago when she was 21 years old. She was in occupational therapy school. She's gonna be an occupational therapist. And that letter changed my life. I turned me around. I was like, you know, I'm here for the people. And I realized, you know, I was just going through a hard time. But I understand, like, when President Trump's been going through all these things last year, when he got convicted, when he was brought to trial, and when they made him go take a mugshot, I know how all that feels, and I felt for the man so hard because it just feels like somebody's dumping a bucket of hot water on you. You know, not even cold water. It's like hot water. It's like it's like you urinated on yourself from top to bottom. That's what it feels like. Somebody's taking a golden shower on you, you know, because that's what it feels like. You're at the bottom. And
Well, I don't
and
mind
I've
it because they keep peeing on all of us and calling it rain. And it's not rain. But I want you,
right.
did you see President Trump new portrait, his official inaugural portrait?
Not
It looked like he just took a mugshot. He means business.
right.
And
No kidding.
but look what I always say, it might have changed Trump a lot, but it made him more humble. He means business.
Yes.
And to know that some of these people that put you behind bars to save their own butt and make you an example for everybody else to stay in their place and do what we tell you to do. You have every right to be bitter and angry, but be directed at the people that actually did it. And these are ones that are supposed to uphold what you uphold, that oath of office. The ones you actually were supposed to protect, they wasn't there to protect you. And to know that they get away with it, doing innocent people, innocent soldiers and civilians like that, it's not wrong for us to keep giving them the power to sit up there and make these laws to crumble people's lives. So I want to say I'm so sorry that you was doing your job, your due diligence to protect not only the state of Texas, but protect every being and every citizen in the United States. And I want to say thank you for laying your life down. And I am so sorry that these SOBs has been evil, globalist assholes and deciding to take their power grips on innocent human beings that they hired to perform those duties to begin with.
Well, ma'am, I appreciate it. And, you know, like I said, it's been a long time and God's guided me in the right way. And I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. I'm still trying to unwind myself, even though it's been almost 20 years later. But you know, life is good. Life is good. It could be better, but it could be a whole lot worse. And I've learned that, you know, and we just got to stand up for one another. We're America. We need to take care of one another. And that's the way it is all the way down to the bottom line. We got to take care of one another.
So, as you know, because Stan Fitzgerald and the Veterans for America First, they really want me to get out here and start interviewing y'all because a lot of y'all voices was taken away. And it's
Yeah.
not right. Pages were scrubbed. People barely can find you. But you are what makes America actually great. You are what makes people actually want to get in the military for your gumption and your wherewithal to stand up for our rights and our border and our society. So I'm going to leave you with the last couple of words because, like I said, I want people to see what you saw just a little bit, to hear your word and your testimony and your story and see about Eagle's past and see about the border and what's going on at the border. So everybody, I want to tell y'all one more time, you can find him, Gary Brugman. Woo! Woo! I said it. I've been practicing that in my divergent mindset the whole time you was talking. But he's on Facebook. He is on X, which is, you tell everybody your handle so they can find you.
It's the letter X, border cop, X border cop
Okay,
on
now,
on X.
now I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everybody where to find you. Why, because God is going to place the people that needs to know who you are in your life. But I want you to go ahead and continue and go ahead and segue us out to the movie. They kind of give people enough time to get up, use the restroom, and get right back in here. And I want y'all to see exactly what Gary saw. I want y'all to see what he was fighting against. And I want y'all to see how really bad that lamestream media, legacy media lied to everybody. So, Mr. Gary, and like I said, it won't be the last time. I hope it won't be the last time that you come on the show. But take it away, and everybody, when he's finished, we'll be right back. So go ahead, sir.
Well, ma'am, again, thank you for having me. I'll come back whenever you wish. That movie is a really good movie. It was filmed about a little over a year ago, and it has a lot of good details in it. It takes you straight down to the border. It takes you right to the front line where the container walls are at. We had access to go past where DPS is in a secluded area, a shutdown area that nobody else has access to, and it's right across from Mexico. You're looking at Mexico, and you can see people coming across. We had some congressional candidates that were down there with us. My old boss, Randy Clark, makes an appearance there and starts telling them about the border because he was down there for 33 years. So he'll show you, he'll tell you a lot of information, and it's a really, really good movie. And at the end of the movie, after a little bit, there's a little interview with me and Victor. So you're gonna enjoy it. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. So everybody, like I said, we staying on Facebook. We're not turning this off. And if we're just banned by Facebook, I guess Zuckerberg need to go ahead and hang around more men like Gary. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Congressman Jim Jordan here. Just want to say thank you for helping Veterans for America first and all the great work they're doing.
Hey, Congressman Mike Collins here. Listen, a big shout out to Veterans for America First, organization out there doing great things, backing candidates and helping our veterans, people who really need your help and deserve all the gratitude. Debt we could never repay them. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the hard work.
Are you ready for President Trump's second inauguration? Well, we're giving a 20% discount on all our Trump merchandise till January 21st. That's 20% off all our Trump gear. So don't wait. This is only good till January 21st, or while supplies last. So order now, and let's make America great again.
Hey, Congressman Jim Jordan here. Just want to say thank you for helping Veterans for America first and all the great work they're doing.
Hey, Congressman Mike Collins here. Listen, a big shout out to Veterans for America First, organization out there doing great things, backing candidates and helping our veterans, people who really need your help and deserve all the gratitude. Debt we could never repay them. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the hard work.
It's water. It's just water. No, Dave is just setting that up over there. Thank y'all so much for tuning back into the Real News with Lucretia Hughes. This is how y'all can support us. It's down in the chat rooms. Y'all just donate. Donate. Please just donate. And it's Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, anything, Zelle that you would love to bless us with, please do. For everybody that's asking about what we're getting ready to show, the title of the movie is Border Invasion, an American Crisis. Like I said, I've seen this movie. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch it with y'all. I'm gonna go make me some chocolate with some coffee with some Irish whiskey, because I think I'm gonna be cussing like a sailor. I'm just kidding. But like I said, I'm gonna be in a chat room jumping from screen to screen. So Linda Sears out there, Amy, I hope y'all love this. Trish, it's eye-opening. Amy, for you, it is so eye-opening. I hope y'all stay to watch this. Kathleen William out there, Martax, Tick Tigler, all y'all, please stay to watch this. Peggy says, Todd, everybody over there on X, Patriot D forever. Hey, girl. And Christy, you in my prayers. Y'all stay and watch this. Stan Fitzgerald and Jerry Craig, and also his wife, Donna Fitzgerald. They have been on the front line fighting for a very long time. I want y'all to watch this. This is a border invasion, an American crisis. Go ahead, Dave.
We had the safest border ever, and now we have the worst border ever. And I mean anywhere. There's never been a border like this ever in the world. I had the most secure border in history. I didn't have a deal. I didn't have a bill. I said, no people are coming in. No drugs are coming in. We don't want to have human trafficking.
My name's Jody Heiss. I'm a former member of Congress from Georgia's 10th Congressional District, and I had the incredible honor of serving from 2015 to 2023. One of the incredible experiences I was able to have in Congress was to serve under 3 different administrations, which is quite an experience from so many perspectives. But when it comes to the border in particular, to go from President Obama to President Trump to President Biden, and to see how each of those administrations approached border security and what actually took place on our border in those 3 different administrations was something to behold. During the course of those administrations, I went to every single sector of our southern border.
Agents, one thing that certainly we've not yet seen is Vice President Kamala Harris. We've got a lot of space out here, but no Vice President. I keep looking underneath rocks here. I keep thinking one of these times I'm going to find her. But no, she's not under that rock either. Don't know where she may be.
Saw firsthand pretty much everything there is to experience. And looking at that through the lens of 3 different administrations is like looking through 3 totally different worldviews altogether. President Obama came in and he first opened the door.
There are actions that I have the legal authority to take that will help make our immigration system more fair and more just. And this morning, I began to take some of those actions.
His actions shield an estimated 5 million undocumented immigrants from deportation.
There wasn't an enormous sense of alarm. There were people waving a red flag saying, look out, this is a dangerous thing. But for some reason, he was able to get away with it and simply open the southern border like it had never been opened before. By the time his administration was over, the southern border was in chaos. And so Trump came in as a candidate talking about he was going to shut the border, build the wall, all these types of things that we all look back on now and remember as a major part of his campaign.
We will build the wall, don't worry. We will build the wall. We will build the wall. And who's gonna pay for the wall? Who? You better believe it. They're gonna pay for the wall.
So Trump comes in and he does what he said he would do. He shuts down the border. He makes attempts for Mexico to help pay for it. And I was there when the Mexican National Guard was, in fact, on the other side of the border, and it was an unbelievable difference.
In El Paso, Texas, in the El Paso sector, you see a little bit of the fence behind me. As you scan across, you should be able to see a couple of National Guards, some Mexican National Guards on the other side over there. They are here protecting the border. Of course, President Trump has required the Mexicans step up to the plate to help us with this. And in the background, if you look closely, you'll see a couple of National Guards who are actually doing exactly what they said to do. I'm here with about 8 other members.
And then, of course, after the Trump administration, the Biden administration came in and not only opened the border, but they prevented our border agents from doing their job. It's almost like Obama's policies on steroids under the Biden administration.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum.
If you don't have border security, at the end of the day, you don't have a country. There were so many attempts, unfortunately, for the biggest bulk of the time that I was there, we were not in the majority. So every attempt we had to secure our southern border was shut down by the Democratic Party. And again, that has resulted in a tidal wave of more and more problems coming across the southern border that no attempt of policies have been able to stop because those policies have been shot down. I wish every single American could witness on a first-hand basis what's happening on our southern border.
My name is Victor Avila. I'm a Republican candidate for U.S. Congress District 23 in Texas. So a little bit about me. A lot of people have heard my name or have seen me because back when I served in Mexico as a U.S. diplomat, I went through a horrific tragedy. My partner and I were ambushed by Los Zetas cartel while I was on assignment there. We were ambushed by them back on February 15th of 2011 and were shot at, and Special Agent Jaime Zapata tragically lost his life next to me in the line of duty. I'm here by the grace of God, having survived being shot 3 times. And so this is personal to me. I understand the evil that the cartels, that we face with the cartels, and the imminent danger that we face, not just by the cartels, but the people assisting the cartels. And I'm talking about China, I'm talking about Iran, I'm talking about Hezbollah, I'm talking about Hamas, and of course, Mexico has to be held accountable. I understand borders, I understand foreign policy, I understand what we need to do to secure our state, to secure our country, and to go back to being America first, to going back and putting our U.S. citizens first when it comes to public safety and when it comes to the economy, education, health care, and a lot of other issues that this district is facing.
And within a matter of 2 months, Joe Biden went for the most secure border ever through historic illegal immigration. What I'm trying to tell people, and make them understand, is this is not mismanagement, it's not incompetence, it's by design. So he opened the floodgates.
Biden has created this border crisis by allowing these folks to come across our border, and that has been detrimental to our country.
They have deliberately opened the border to fundamentally change the fabric of our country.
Now Americans across the country are bracing for the end of Title 42 as thousands of migrants wait along the Mexican side of the border.
Officials telling NBC News most migrants are now being released into the U.S.
Majority of these people are fighting-age men. We are watching as we're being invaded.
Nearly 2,000 migrants were moved from Floyd Bennett Field to James Madison High School, forcing those students there to learn remotely yesterday.
America's veterans calling out the VA's role in processing medical care for illegals who are entering the country, while those who risk their lives for our freedoms still wait to be treated.
Our current administration, occupiers, are busy putting our veterans on the streets in order to house illegal immigrants.
It is becoming harder and harder not to conclude that the border crisis is intentional. Is this administration committing some form of treason against the United States of America? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a lawyer, that I will define that, or I'll say that, yep, it's treason. What I do know is it's intentional. It is clearly intentional. And when the White House says, oh, no, our border's secured, they're lying. They're lying to us. So the intentionality, meaning it's intentional, that they opened up our borders and they allowed the flood of illegals, and now that number is somewhere close to 10 million.
Victor here, Victor Avila, retired special agent with Homeland Security Investigations, with my friend Gary Brugman, who is a Border Patrol agent assigned to this area in Eagle Pass, Texas. We're headed down to the actual border right by the levee of the river in the Rio Grande, where there have been thousands and thousands of people coming into this country illegally. Just in the last 2 weeks, at one point there was 10,000 people coming in through this area a day, 10,000 a day. And so the state of Texas has put up some razor wire, they put up some containers, they're trying to reduce the flow of that traffic of people coming in. However, there's a big struggle with the federal government not allowing that enforcement. See the cut razor wire here? This is where the razor wire has been cut, and one of the entry points. And you're gonna see a lot of footage, the actual footage of what the border looks like and the dynamics of what happens actually on a day-to-day basis. A lot of the traffic has slowed down because of these new policies, not only from the state, but from this administration. But it's a matter of time when the cartels actually adjust, and they will adjust. Maybe they might move to a different location. If you guys remember, 2 years ago, it was all in Del Rio. A year before that, it was all in McAllen, Texas, in Mission, Texas. Right now, it happens to be Eagle Pass and El Paso. There's a recent court order just in the last couple of days while we're here in Eagle Pass, Texas, where a federal judge has ordered the Biden administration to stop cutting that razor wire and allowing the illegals to come in. And so we're gonna go see exactly what that has transpired down to the field level, where the National Guard is present, the Texas DPS troopers, and of course Border Patrol. So we'll go see exactly what's going on. I was just here 12 days ago where the aliens were coming up. They had just installed the containers. These containers that you see there, we're gonna drive past the bridges. Do you see the second bridge over there at overpass? We're gonna go there. They've now blocked, aside from the razor wire that was being cut, they have now just installed, just yesterday, containers. And so my contact, I asked them, are we gonna be able to walk up like I just did a week and a half ago? He says, you'll be the first one to find out. So we'll be the first ones to find out and report what is actually happening today, because it could be different tomorrow.
So Victor, can I ask you, these containers, are they part of that new bill that was signed? The 1.7 billion miles different?
It's all part of Operation Lone Star. It is part of that funding. Yeah, it is part of that money.
So Texas put those.
It's Texas putting this. This is not the federal government. The razor wire has nothing to do with the federal government. The containers have nothing to do with the Biden administration. It is all the state of Texas trying to contain the movement. Millions of people are still coming in, regardless of the containers, regardless of the razor wire, and we'll make that very clear to the American people. I'm about the truth, and I'm about enforcing the border, and that's not enforcing the border. That's making it look like you're enforcing the border, which kind of irates me a little bit.
I see towers here with cameras mounted and antennas.
Jerry will tell you, the one that we passed, you guys passed the checkpoint, coming this way, the one that you're gonna pass going, the Border Patrol checkpoint, there's a big old tower, cameras, doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Why? Because the software is not updated, and they don't want to, it's obsolete. So why don't we pay the money to get it up and running? Look at these incredible cameras, but they're not working.
And how many of these do they have down the
A bunch of them,
frequency?
all over the place.
And do any of them work?
No. So there's these major lights that they have, these incredible, I call them Moreland Stadium lights down in Hudspeth County, which is pitch dark. They're off. I said, why they're off? Because the Biden administration ordered them off when he stopped the wall. So remember, the wall is part of this whole system. It's the Border Patrol agent, it's the enforcement, it's the sensors, it's the response time, it's the lighting, it's the camera. It's all that together.
Trump had set a goal to have total of the 4 contractors 450 miles by the end of December of his first term. As a group, we actually met and exceeded that goal. Our particular team that I was on, we won 9 contracts in 4 different states: California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. The wall that we had put up, we were going quickly to get the wall up, but we hadn't put in the technology. And it was the technology, the cameras, the sensors, the lights that basically give the Border Patrol in their headquarters, they can see what's happening, where they can move people to that area, because even if they try to get over it, which is very, very difficult, it slows it down to the point where they can be apprehended. And you put that with a tough policy of returning back to Mexico, and it had shut down the areas where we had it completed. It had shut it down, and had we been able to put in all the security, I think it would have been pretty much impenetrable. But as soon as Biden came in, he canceled the contracts, terminated them, and so we ended up with the 167. We ended up building 145 miles.
One of the things that you've been hearing by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, especially under oath, is that they're trying to establish new legal pathways to come into the country, which is completely a lie. The legal pathway, that's been in existence for a long time. Giving them a parole or going to the CBP One app is not a legal pathway.
In this country, there are between 11 and 12 million.
Right, but I'm asking about a subset that you won't send home. And the reason you're smirking about it, and the reason you won't answer my question, is because everybody gets the joke. And the sad thing is, it's not just us here, it's the cartels who get the joke too. And so now, what you've done to execute this Mayorkas doctrine, where so long as you don't commit a crime, you get to stay here and burden our hospitals, burden our schools, burden our social services, burden our jails. You've sent the message to the cartels, and then you've taken this app and you've digitized illegal immigration and you've scaled it to the moon. Like this app that you've got everybody downloading is like the Disney Fast Pass into the country, never to be subject to actual removal, just removal proceedings, as you call them. That app doesn't do any search of their criminal history in their home country, does it?
Congressman, I disagree with everything you have said.
Well, I'm sure, but just to answer the question, does the app that you are out there promoting do any search of people's criminal history in their home country?
Congressman, Customs and Border Protection screens and vets individuals whom they encounter.
Your
thoroughly.
app, it either has the functionality to test their criminal history in their home country or it doesn't. By the way, if it did, you'd have already told me. It doesn't.
Getting processed in your home country or in Mexico is not a legal pathway. You inputting that information into CBP1, whatever you want to put in, is not a legal pathway because no one in the U.S. is vetting that information. And they're not only walking through the river, but at one point, Stan, I was seeing the aliens come in through the river and the port of entry on top. And they already did the paperwork in that app. By the time they hit the port of entry, they get their paperwork printed out and they walk.
So they're
legally that are not being part of these. You saw all these numbers come up on these stats? Those are not part of those stats, by the way, because this administration considers them legal.
Yeah.
A lot of them are being flown in. You don't hear this about a lot. We have over 200,000 illegal aliens that have been flown in from their home country directly into the U.S., into Dallas, Newark, Atlanta, Miami, flown in through that CBP1 app. You never hear about those. Nobody ever reports on those. Everybody's really concentrated on the border, but we actually have the Biden administration flying them in on commercial airlines to your hometown.
The question is who's providing them the money and the resources?
You and I, through our tax money, state, the U.S. State Department, the UN, the United Nations, and it's billions of dollars to NGOs, non-governmental organizations that have been given the authority by this administration to do exactly that. They're not border agents. They're not vetting anybody. As a matter of fact, they're breaking the law. They're breaking 1324, 1325, 1326, the Title 8 that you hear about a lot, that I used to use to actually enforce it and put people in jail because of it. It's upside down and backwards.
So the reason you said, if we see all these clothing of children and adults just scattered everywhere, you said that they basically strip down. Tell us about what they do.
They carry their dry clothes in a bag. They walk across, they strip of their wet clothes and switch on the dry one, and they leave it right here for somebody to pick it up. Eventually they had the National Guard pick it up, and then they had contractors pick it up. It got to a point where, this was last year, that I've been coming here for a long time. Last year, they needed a, what do they call these? A bobcat, little bobcat. To pick up, that's how much trash it was.
Wow.
I mean, a lot. And most of it you saw was medication
Mm-hmm.
and contraceptive pills, morning after pills, condoms. What's that? Oh, documents galore.
"32 and a half years in the Border Patrol from California and 22 here. I've never seen what's happening right now. Anybody that tells you, well, it's been busy before, no, it has not. Last year of the Trump administration, there were 400,000 apprehensions. We just finished another 2 million year. So that's 5 times the level of traffic that's come over. The difference is those 400,000 were detained and removed. We held them. We were not doing catch and release. And I'll give you just one quick story. We had a migrant that was involved in a collision on the highway being smuggled. He was literally brain dead. We could not release that migrant, even though we knew the machinery was going to get cut off. We had to babysit that person until just before the family got here, and they turned off those machines. But that was how tight the restrictions were on anybody getting released to pursue asylum. I mean, it had to be a dire case. So when you hear, well, there were 400,000 apprehensions then, sure there were. But there were very close to 400,000 removals. And that was what was bringing that decline completely down. But 400,000 stretched between San Diego and Brownsville, Texas in 1 year is nothing. 393,000 crossed in Del Rio sector alone last month. last year, I'm sorry, 393. So almost as much as came in 2020 in one sector of the Border Patrol, not spread out nationwide. So it's a problem that has never existed here. Anybody that tells you otherwise is smoking crack or on something, you know. It's never been like this.
So you're disputing the fact that the border's closed, that Biden says, in Mayorkas?
Yes, I'm absolutely disputing that fact and all the propaganda that the government puts out. If you see them standing next to a plane saying, look, we're removing these Venezuelans, that's 2 flights a week, more than likely. They released 155,000 to pursue asylum claims in the month of October alone, or September rather. During the month, 1 month, 155,000 people. There's your draw.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's like the air behind a bullet. It just draws everybody behind it. This is a policy issue.
We were down here on the border. You know, they were crossing left and right as we were standing there. Group after group came by, Venezuelans, Hondurans, and stuff. So.
And then the CBP-1 misuse, that's even more illogical.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that parole, that humanitarian parole, we used that for years. Extremely selective.
Right.
The times that I can remember were informants for DEA that were going to testify in criminal cases and or severely injured children. They would get humanitarian parole for them and the family. They would come get their treatment. And as soon as they were done, back to the bridge and back to Mexico.
Right.
So it was very closely monitored. It was never intended. It's an individualized authority given to DHS by Congress to administer that. And they're just blanketly opening it and saying, come in. There's really not a whole lot of there are no credible fear hearings to get in. You just merely need to show up, wait for the appointment. And if you get the appointment, you're 95% chance you're going to get admitted with a loose claim of asylum. And a lot of the differences in numbers that you're going to hear are folks that years ago, when they say, well, 1986, we had 1.6 million come in.
Right.
Maybe. We didn't have biometrics. You had to go by somebody's name.
Right.
So the same person could have been apprehended 5-6 times. Most of those people were from Mexico. They came, they worked a season, they returned, they came back the next season. They had homes they did not intend to abandon. Right. They sent money back home, made repairs, went back. These are not folks from Mexico crossing today.
Right.
There's still a significant amount, but most of them are folks that have abandoned any residence anywhere in the world.
Now, yesterday we were on the other side. We saw a lot of IDs, laminated, looked like photocopies, and they were just abandoned. And it seemed very strange that when you're traveling across, even illegally crossing into another country, that you would abandon your ID. And the only reason that I could logically think is to hide from your past, hide from your criminal connection.
Well, yes and no.
From your network.
Some of that's true. Auden just found some IDs the other day. We see them scattered everywhere. These Venezuelans, there was a regional solution to their socialism. And the regional solution was Colombia and Peru and several other countries that absorbed them years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they're now coming and they have Colombian ID on them, or they have Peruvian ID, and they don't want the government to know that they have already resettled. Because they're going to claim asylum from the policies in Venezuela, not the policies in Colombia. So they don't want that history of, well, okay, you're saying you're from Venezuela, but look, you've got ID from Colombia. Some of these families coming, it'll be a Venezuelan husband, Colombian wife, and in a weird sense, we've had them with children from Mexico, because that journey takes a while. And if the mother's 9 months pregnant, she may deliver in Tapachula. So you've got a Mexican citizen child, a citizen of Venezuela father, and a citizen of Colombia spouse.
And each country could issue a different
temporary
ID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they, so one thing that I've seen, especially in my district, we're starting to see more and more migrants that are coming up, getting bussed in presumably, especially with nonprofits that have traditionally served illegal immigrants, not having documentation. So maybe the parent will have, one, photocopy, laminated something. Children, no birth certificates.
No, many of them
are
don't.
they taking them from them? Is that like, because in the
stuff.
past they would all have them, and all of those families typically that would come up for support would have all that stuff to a T. Now they have nothing, no address, no real documentation.
They really don't want any establishment of identity or nationality, because it's not beneficial in many cases. But they're losing things along the way. You can ask Auden. As they're crossing the river, they've got their belongings in bags, and you can see the bags getting swept downriver, and the foot guides will take that stuff back up to the house and sort through it like a grab bag.
Right.
So, and they're dumping stuff deliberately. So, but it doesn't matter. You can now fly with a piece of paper. You can't. I should have reworded that. You and I can't.
Yeah.
But if you get caught crossing the border, you can go to the San Antonio airport. TSA is going to let you get on a plane.
Yep.
But now try and take your wife to Vegas and forget an ID, and you've just lost your trip. You know, they're not going to let you on. So there's a lot of rules getting bent to facilitate this open border, and it is open. Anybody that says it's not is absolutely out of their minds.
The curious thing is that, you know, like I asked Victor, is that when you see these people coming up, and you just stated that, you know, they come through the jungles and all this other stuff, but when you see them coming up and stuff, you notice that they seem to be kind of clean, Nike tennis shoes. So are they actually coming up that way? Are they being flown in, bussed in? I mean,
so that demographic has changed significantly as well. When we first started seeing a spike in Venezuelans, it was the richer Venezuelans. I mean, Venezuela was a rich country decades ago, and they still have an elite class. Those folks were abandoning things, living on the hills above country clubs, and they were flying in from Caracas right to Mexico City, and then they would come via land, ground resources to get here. They weren't staying in shelters waiting for a free ride up north. They had relatives in Houston and in Florida, and they had people waiting for them. They were gone, immaculately dressed and well groomed. They didn't fight that jungle grind that we see now from what we're seeing today. These coming today are the poorest of the poor. That's why New York City's tapping out. You know, they wanted poor migrants. Now they realize, wow, they're poor migrants. They are. They're coming. They have no money, no funds, and no connections to anybody in the United States.
We saw the little island, the strip in the middle, where supposedly they planted a Venezuelan flag recently. When was that? Because
that was in September when Odd and myself were here covering that. That was about a month ago. Yes, absolutely.
And it's the bridge where Victor was telling us the people drowned right over there by the pillars.
Yes.
And they're not coming here they're not going to the United States to embrace the American way of life. If they're bringing their own flags, does that not represent more of an invasion activity versus if we walked into here waving American flags, how would that be taken?
Probably not well. You know, I mean, these people, you remember, they were invited. Bottom line, if you go back to 2019, you look at the Democratic debate, what did Joseph Biden say? He said, if I'm elected president, I surge the border. We want to hear your case. People listen to the leader. And the last president obviously was very firm in, I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to fix this broken asylum system, and I'm going to remove you if you're here illegally. That message resonated, and on day one when he started, he tasked everybody in the federal government to find ways to conduct removals. We had more removal options in the Border Patrol that were undone than we ever had before. There was never a remain in Mexico in my first 30 years of the Border Patrol. It never happened. Mexico only took back citizens of Mexico. This administration leveraged them to assist and to take back anybody who was Spanish speaking. Then there were agreements with Central American countries that they had to take the co-nationals in that region if they claimed asylum. So if a Honduran claimed asylum, we would process him, and he may go back to El Salvador to wait his asylum claim. Well, they don't want to live in El Salvador. They don't want to live in Mexico. They want to live in the United States. And if that option is off the table, they don't come. So our border security cannot start here. Cannot start in the middle of the river. Cannot start. It needs to start in Washington, D.C., but it needs to be heard in Venezuela, in Colombia, in the Middle East, where people get the message that if you come, you're not going to be allowed to stay unless you have a legal right. And the legal right is in all of the thousands of pages of the Immigration and Nationality Act that is ignored right now. We're ignoring that. All of the resources are getting poured towards illegal immigration, and you find people waiting to legally immigrate, and he's got a perfect example, that are neglected. All of those people that can be clearing those legal petitions are put to work handling this problem.
If you see here right in front of me, this is DPS, Texas Department of Public Safety, with the help of other agencies, by the way, Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. There's others here.
Florida Highway Patrol.
Florida Highway Patrol and other states have sent their
Mississippi, West
enforcement to help in what we call Operation Lone Star. Billions of dollars are being spent at the state level to try to contain the traffic that is not being stopped at the border. And what I mean by that is that all these people that are let in believe me, there's a lot of smuggling, drugs, weapons that our state troopers are trying to stop from going further into the state of Texas. The problem is they're already here. And you'll see to my right here the boat ramp. And I don't know if you want to take a shot. This is where Border Patrol uses. And you have a group of aliens right here. You have 3 adults and 2 children right here. And this is what they use to patrol. The airboats to use to patrol on the Rio Grande. I want people to understand the craziness of what's happening at this border. They're not being arrested. The aliens are not being arrested. They're not being detained. They're just being helped and assisted. Right now, Border Patrol will take them to the facility here in Eagle Pass, Texas, where they will get processed, fed, they'll take a shower, they get ready, usually be there for 2 days, and then they'll be put on an airplane or a bus to their final destination. Florida, Colorado, California, Chicago, Maryland, North Carolina, Minnesota, Minneapolis, you name it. Everywhere. A lot of them going to New York. They're going everywhere. And what you see to my right here is the state of Texas put up these containers with a razor wire on top. The question you might be asking yourself, do these containers stop people from coming into the country illegally? The answer is no. I'm not sure what they do here other than prevent us from actually having a visible or a straight sight to the river, line of sight to the river. But it doesn't do anything. Now, if you wanted to actually have the containers have an impact, I would suggest you would double stack them both, not just double wide, but double high along the entire border from El Paso to Brownsville. Now, there's some areas where you don't need containers because we have natural barriers. We have natural canyons. But there's a lot of areas that I could think of and I could tell you and show you where this would actually benefit. What is very troubling is that the area of the high traffic of where the illegal aliens are coming up, you don't see any barriers there. You don't see a wall built there. You have the razor wire right here, which we got into this conflict of them cutting the wire and coming up and still allowed to come in. Remember the thousands that came in just in the last couple of weeks, the razor wire was already there. And so that didn't make any difference. We're trying to disrupt and dismantle the flow, but it doesn't help that your own federal government is against that disruption. And I think the American people are tired of that. They demand our government to protect us. Because we could be talking about illegal alien traffic all day, but what's very concerning is the national security aspect of this. And we're talking about terrorists and terrorism. And yes, are they coming to the southern border? Absolutely. And we're talking about people from Bangladesh, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Cuba, Venezuela, Senegal, a lot of Africans coming in. What do all these countries, a lot of these countries have in common? Well, they're communists, they're socialists, and they bring that ideology here. And they're not changing to our Western culture. They're adopting their culture here and continue to exercise their culture, their ideology, and as a matter of fact, there are laws. What's that?
And diminish our culture.
Oh, well, they don't want to assimilate to ours. And assimilation means you have to follow our Constitution and our rule of law, and they're not doing that.
Take a look here. This is a migrant who was involved in the attacking of police officers in Times Square. He's being let out of court yesterday on bail, and he gives America, the press, everybody there, the double bird. And I feel like if you wanted to encapsulate the problems of the Biden administration, you take unfettered illegal immigration, crime, and then being able to walk out without any consequences. And there you have a photograph that you might not see. Other photo editors choose to show it.
I mean, I always talk about the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Pledge of Allegiance is a fascinating 31-word statement, and it's a statement of who we are as Americans. I pledge allegiance to the flag, right, of the United States of America. And these people that are coming in, there's no Pledge of Allegiance, there's no assimilation, there's no I'm coming to America to strengthen the fabric of this constitutional republic.
It's a big problem at the local level that people are starting to realize, and you've seen it in states in like New York and other places where they're realizing, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on? Because you have a lot of crime, you have a lot of health issues, you have a lot of education issues with children, unaccompanied children, and we haven't even touched on the human trafficking and human smuggling aspect of it, which continues to this day. Aside from the fentanyl and methamphetamine and other drugs that continue to pour right through this river. And you'll see the Border Patrol doing either the state or the Border Patrol doing the Fish and Wildlife doing the patrols on the board, on the water. Here you see a Florida state trooper detailed down here on this assignment under Operation Lone Star. Now, the state of Florida obviously helps in the funding to bring some of these, some of their personnel over here. And for you to kind of get a understanding of the geography here, right next to us on the other side, this is the border, here's the river, but on my other side is a public golf course.
City golf course.
And you'll see the golfers tee up literally feet from the border where the aliens are allowed to come in. In this bridge, this is one of the bridges, bridge number 2. You see the traffic above the bridge, which is the legal traffic coming through a port of entry, which, by the way, we have a lot of illegals coming that way as well through the pedestrian lane under the CBP One app that they have filled out their information. Somehow, somewhere, someone has okayed them. And it's not Border Patrol, it's an NGO, a non-governmental organization. You got an alien. ¿Dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? No te escondas. No te asustes, hombre. And the alien just jumped off because he probably thinks that we're police. Oh, is the gate open? Is it? Yeah. It might be. I don't know if you guys caught that on top of the container. But he's, you see, they don't have to avoid detection here. If he's up here and he wants to come over, he'll probably walk over and turn himself into the Border Patrol.
Yeah, there could be a scout.
Or he could be a scout and he doesn't really want to come over.
Right.
He'll go back. But I was saying is that we're approaching the big staging area of the Border Patrol, and you'll see the buses there. Yeah, he's right there. You see how he presses down, he pushed down the razor wire? You can see it through the crevice a little bit. It's hard to catch right now, but you can go ahead. All right. A lot of scouts, a lot of these smugglers will swim with the illegals and then swim back. You're gonna see the big staging area with Border Patrol presence. The bus is ready. The aliens will be brought under this bridge. They'll give them a quick snack, something to drink. They have these portable restrooms for them to use. And they'll start doing the quick processing, putting them on the bus, taking them to the facility. And like I explained, a couple of 48 hours or so, will be released to the country. There is no prosecution anymore. This administration doesn't consider this a criminal offense anymore. Even though 8 U.S.C. 1325, 1326, 1324 is the actual statute of you to be able to be prosecuted under the statute and say, actually prosecute you, convict you, and put you in federal prison. Starts off at 6 months and it only goes up from there. But I used to be a federal probation officer before I was an agent, so I understand the U.S. court system. That would be a deterrent, because instead of going to a facility to then end up in your final destination, you actually end up at a facility called prison and then deported back to your country. You would then send that information to the rest of the folks and say, you know what, they're actually not letting you in. you're gonna go to prison and you're gonna be convicted of a crime. And if you come back, you'll get caught again, be convicted of another crime, which in turn just adds more time to your prison time. And so this is where we're at. This is the America that a lot of people don't recognize. I surely don't. If you see right here, you can almost touch the containers from where we're at. These just came up yesterday. Day before yesterday. This is where they were, stop here. This is where they were coming up just the last couple of weeks, where you see the private property sign. That's where they were actually coming up, where you can actually tell, and you see the pathway where they crushed the initial razor wire, and the razor wire was cut, and they came in. Tens of thousands of people illegally came in through here, and now they kind of stopped that, and they added more razor wire, obviously because of the ruling of the judge. We're going to continue to drive a little bit here on the bankway here. So we have a group of aliens here. I don't know if you want to get off and catch this. They're on the island. Let's drive up a little further, bro. Yeah. So there's a group of aliens on the island. Here you go. We got one in the water. You see him going back because they didn't let him in. What's actually happening right now is they're actually repelling them. It's a good thing. This is what I've called for a long time, is to repel the illegal aliens from coming up in the first place. Now, if you look at them where they're standing, that is already the United States of America. The United States of America is up until the middle of this river. So technically they have made it to the US, and this is where a lot of the conflict lies. Once they make it to this bank on this side, they're technically in the US. The question is, do we even want to take possession of them or not? Or should we just repel them? Right now, as we shoot this video, the state of Texas is doing the job by repelling them. We actually just saw an alien. He's actually swimming back into Mexico as we speak. And they're realizing that guess who's not laying them up? The Border Patrol, just like the few weeks that I was here last. The Border Patrol, by court order of a federal judge, has ordered them. And let me make something very clear. It's not the border agents, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the border agents, it's not the field agents. It is Mayorkas and Biden who continue to do this. And they had told them, you cannot let them in. And so there's no green uniforms here, so they can't come in. Well, what's different about that guy is he's carrying a lot of equipment. Yeah. I thought he was carrying all of these people's belongings, which is, there you go, there he goes.
And they're letting him go through.
Here comes a Humvee to reposition itself over here. I'll tell you guys are seeing something that I had never seen on the Mexican side, what appears to be some kind of quasi-enforcement. And this is, I want you guys to understand this. This happens periodically. The last time I saw it, it was just the presence of the Mexican National Guard and the Mexican Immigration Service, but they were just standing there. I've never actually seen them chase them into the water. And so something is happening here in the last couple of days we've been here. Obviously something's going on with the state of Texas, with the federal judge's ruling. You've seen the dramatic decrease of people coming across. There's still some coming over, but not like it was the last time I was here, with tens of thousands were coming in per day. Some of them don't even have the location. They have it written down on a piece of paper as to where they're gonna go. That tells me they don't have a sponsor, they don't have a family member. Who knows who gave them this address? That's the address they're gonna provide to the Border Patrol in the so-called processing.
We have to remember that border security saves lives. And if you were down here hearing these babies cry, seeing this horrific situation here, you would want to close our border and secure our border as well.
qué estado? Orlando. Todos a Florida. O sea, ¿para dónde?
Para Maryland.
Maryland y Florida.
Gracias por dejarnos entrar, señor.
¿De qué país vienen?
Venezuela.
No, yo sé que son venezolanos, pero ¿dónde estaban viviendo?
Venezuela.
No estaban viviendo en otro país.
No, venimos de Venezuela.
¿Directo?
Sí. Hemos sufrido, pero hemos llegado, gracias a Dios.
¿Cuánto tiempo?
Duramos 2 meses.
2 meses.
Sí. En el llegar.
Allá está para que te entreguen Nosotros no somos porque nada. Sí. Estamos nomás documentando. Pásale ahí.
Gracias.
Suerte. You know, I think that's the problem. 5 single adult males. They're disrespecting our sovereignty.
Right.
They're disrespecting our constitution and our rule of law. And I'm kind of fed up with it.
Those aren't kids either. Those are
No, these are single adult males.
Single adult males of
Military age. There's one guy that's a little older there that I'm like, what? Where are they going? Maryland, Florida.
Okay.
Coming to your town.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Orlando. Now we're going to be passing by the bridge, which is actually the international bridge, the port of entry, right above us. And as we drive by, you're going to see that the aliens that we just saw come in from the river are actually being staged here. And you can film them here if you want, where the Border Patrol buses are waiting for them to be processed. Now, this is, in all intents and purposes, a small group. I'm not sure where I think the others were already gone.
Probably.
They probably took the others because we had a group of about 30, 40 with all these, about maybe 50 of them. And so they have been taken, processed initially right there, taking their information, putting them on the bus, taking them to the facility in Eagle Pass, Texas, a soft-sided facility that we built specifically for this. So I want people to understand the soft-sided facility is not an ICE facility. It's a Border Patrol station. Because the numbers have been large number of groups, they don't fit in a normal Border Patrol station that exists. We had to build these facilities that, for all intents and purposes, an extension of a Border Patrol station. Think of it as a booking area of a county jail where these aliens will get booked, in a sense that they will take their fingerprints and their pictures and then eventually be released within 48 hours, 72 hours on a bus or on an airplane to their final destination. These groups, they told us they were going to Dallas, Florida, Orlando, where else did they say? Minnesota, Maryland. They're going all over the United States of America. And so you will encounter them in your neighborhood. If you think that you are immune from the illegal immigration system and the national security risk because you're in the interior part of the United States, you're not. You're being affected as much as we are here at the border, and your state has now become a border state.
I was there one time when the day before I was at this particular location, 4 individuals from terrorist countries were caught, fortunately, that day, but they were caught on the border. We have untold numbers of terrorists who have entered our country. We have human traffickers, drug paraphernalia coming across our borders in absolute droves. And this ultimately impacts every family, every city, every community, every state, and obviously the entire nation. We have 100,000 people dying of fentanyl every year right now, simply because of what's happening on our southern border. And that does not include all the other potential problems, the criminals, the murderers, the theft, the human trafficking, and yes, the potential, and it's more than a potential, the certainty of terrorists who are in our country. You have Chinese now is individuals who are part of the military of China that are coming in every single day unchecked. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what their intentions are. It is a horrifying circumstance that we have allowed happen on our southern border.
It's a war out there between the Gulf Cartel, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, the Sinaloa Cartel, and the CDN. CDN is Cartel del Noreste, which is a faction of Los Zetas that killed my partner and shot me. What happens in the U.S. is the gangs inside the U.S. work with the cartels. So you got the Black Gangster Disciples, you got the Latin Kings, you got the 18th Street Gang, you got the Tango Blasting. I used to be a gang intel officer.
The Disciples,
all these people,
gang, yeah.
the white gangs, the Bagler, the Hispanic, all these gangs. Well, they kind of are independent contractors, if you will.
Okay.
But who are they? What are they pushing? The cartels. Poison. Ultimately, it's the cartel that owns them. It's the product, their product that they're selling. So the designation of these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations will do this. Not only will it give the government the resources to seize all their assets, bank accounts, properties, money wherever they have it, it'll also give us DOD resources. But what it also will do is that now all these gangs and all these people that are dealing with and financing a terrorist organization, we get to pick you up. Because if you were talking to ISIS right now, you get a knock on your door.
Yes,
you can't do that because you would be commingling or interacting with a terrorist organization, right?
Right.
Well, the same thing.
Materials.
Material support, thank you. If it's a Sinaloa cartel, it's no difference to me. So if you're the gang in Chicago, well, guess what? You get hooked up. Why? Because you're associating with the Sinaloa cartel, which is a foreign terrorist organization. You know what's going to happen? These gang members are going to say,
right.
I'm not dealing with any terrorist. And that's how you start dismantling them.
But we should designate these criminal cartels in Mexico as foreign terrorist organizations because they are committing terror on the streets of America, and we should not allow that. So what does that mean? That means that we, the United States of America, can apply different capabilities and different resources to go after them, meaning United States military, because we cannot have these drug cartels working with their Chinese counterparts, destroying this country by just flooding the zone, so to speak, with these horrific drugs like fentanyl. Our numbers right now are probably around 150,000 dead. So I call those killed in action. Those are killed in action, right? 150,000. That number might even be higher than that. But then you have wounded in action, just like on a battlefield. But this is in America. This is on American soil. From these bastards in Mexico with their cohorts in China. So they're sending a weapon system, and they're using this weapon system. They're firing it through all these illegals that are invading our country, right? That's kind of the way to bring it in, the actual, the gun, so to speak, or the weapon system, so to speak. And then what they do is they shoot this thing called fentanyl out into the streets of America, and now we have casualties. We have killed in action, and we have tens, actually it's probably in the hundreds of thousands of wounded in action in just the last couple of years alone from fentanyl. This has got to stop. The administration is doing this intentionally, and that's why we need to get new leadership.
Border Patrol has stopped and arrested 73,000 special interest aliens. 73,000, it's probably more than that now. A special interest alien is someone that comes from a terrorist country or is a known terrorist or it is related some way to known terrorists. We don't want any special interest aliens. They've stopped and arrested 73,000. Now, when you think about 1.9 million gotaways, how many of those are special interest aliens, terrorist criminals that we don't know about and we don't know where they are? We don't know what they're going to do.
Iran is ruled by radical Muslims. They believed in Marxism, socialism, and they told lies, many lies to Iranian people, fake promises. And as a child, I always was seeking the truth. And unfortunately, the Islamic rules and Sharia law could not answer my questions. I was thirsty to find the truth, to have a relationship with God. God revealed two things to me. First, He revealed the true face of radical Muslims, the true face of Islam to me. And second, He revealed His amazing love to me. And that love, experiencing the love of God, really changed my life. Then I dedicated my whole life to Jesus. But from my childhood, I always had a struggle fighting against these harsh rules of Islam, and I experienced that at schools. They teach, I remember they teach students about Israel and America that they are the biggest enemies, and I remember they forced students to stand in line before attending their classes to say death to America and death to Israel. And I know the evil nature of these people, and I keep warning to people. And it's very disappointing when I see our politicians do not pay attention, and they do not understand, they do not care about their own citizens. Because I see that in America, the Islamic Republic regime infiltrated in our politics, in our education system, in our media, and they are ruining the country. That's why I keep warning Americans that one day, if you're not wake up, one day you will wake up and you see that your country has been taken over. You see that your children have been brainwashed, and you see that your policymakers are those who are against you and your values. And what's happening after Hamas attack, I hate what happened. It's very heartbreaking when we see how they slaughtered thousands of Israeli innocent people. But the only good thing about this event is that it showed us that how much our country and European countries are corrupted by these immigrants and radical Muslims, because that's their agenda. When I was living in Iran, their teachings is about destroying America. Their teaching is about annihilation of Israel. And they believe that they will destroy America within by infiltrating in the country, by ruining the culture, by ruining the future of American children. And I see that, and I see them, I see their footprints everywhere in our politics. They are behind most of our politicians who are Muslims.
Finally, before you go, you have joined the movement to abolish ICE, as some of, many of your fellow Democrats in Congress have as well. But critics say, look, that energizes the Republican base, that energizes the president, who can point at Democrats and say, see, you don't care about border security. What's your reaction to that?
I don't look at this issue as strategic political strategy. Abolishing ICE protects my families.
And that's why I just keep warning warning Americans that we need to wake up about what's happening in the country.
Terrorists have been present in Mexico for a long time. The difference is we've been enforcing that and trying to capture them. I myself was working a big Afghan investigation smuggling case right before the shooting that I went through in Mexico. So I've been aware of this for a very long time. As a matter of fact, let me add this, Stan. Right now, when we were getting ready, I just got a call from some intel that there's possibly 20 to 50 Pakistani nationals possibly on the terror watch list coming through right behind us here in Eagle Pass. They didn't know when they were coming, but they're coming here very soon. And this is very, very credible information from one of my sources. This is what the rest of the world, and I'm talking about the terrorist world, have also realized. They've known. If you and I know that this border is open, they also know that. But now they're really exploiting it. Now they're just coming across. And whether they turn themselves in under a disguise or they get smuggled in, and we don't know the intentions.
Well, that brings up an interesting point, because Congressman Donalds just put forth some legislation the other day about increasing biometric enforcement along the border.
Yes.
I've worked in biometrics, the Department of Defense biometrics, and we've deployed AVIS to Afghanistan and Iraq. So
I worked that too.
So you know the emphasis is to identification.
Yes.
Friend and foe.
Yes.
So with these Pakistanis that are coming across the border, it's imperative that Congressman Donald's legislation goes through to get increased biometric information services on the border. But that's good for the people who are crossing in a fashion where you can capture. But the getaways, the gotaways, those right there,
right.
How do we know? We actually, it's rhetorical. We don't know. We do not know.
Well, we don't know, but why don't we know? It's because we don't want to know. We have the intel capacity.
Yes.
We have the capacity. We have very good intelligence. but I don't know if our resources are being placed there or our priorities are being placed there. But when I was in Mexico, I interviewed all these people from all these different special interest countries, and I was surprised, like, what in the heck are these people doing here? And so they've been coming for a long time, Afghans and all this stuff. Now, not only exploiting the border now, but they do we know where they're at? They're not. But talking about the biometrics.
Yes.
It got so bad that we started implementing, there was this little biometric machine, an iris scan,
Yes, iris
that
scanner.
I actually went down to Panama and was training our agents down there because they had these individuals, the special interest aliens, had one identity down in the southern part of Mexico, a second identity in Mexico City at the facility, and a third identity at our border. We didn't know who they were. They had different names. They all had the same date of birth, January 1st, with different years.
Happy New Year.
So we started implementing this biometrics to scan their iris down in Panama before they even came up, to at least know, well, this one was the same guy that we encountered. But what happened? The Biden administration did away with that. The same thing you mentioned earlier, the DNA testing. There is no DNA testing. When the DNA testing was implemented by President Trump, the smuggling of children stopped.
Yeah.
The trafficking stopped. Why? Because they were showing up with the kids, and as soon as they found out, hey, are you the father? Well, yes, I am. Well, we're going to test you. Oh, no, I'm not. No. And they abandoned the child. Kind of like what we do with bulk cash smuggling. We catch you with $250,000. It's not mine. Well, you abandon it, so we take it. So we would now take possession of the child and try to find the parent, which we have no idea where they're at. So that word spread quickly, and they said, you can't bring the children because they're testing you. Well, that program was undone. This river, depending on how the rain has been, it could be thigh high, waist and chest high, right? But this river in Spanish is called Rio Bravo, or the aggressive river, because you could be wading the river and walking, and all of a sudden it'll just grab you like quicksand, and it'll just sink you and drown you. I don't care what good of a swimmer you are. And that's what happens to all these people. They're walking and the water's here, and they're like fine, and all of a sudden they're like, and they're done.
They get suctioned.
I saw two things. One, like a 10-year-old boy, maybe 12-year-old, he got stuck. The smuggler had to come and rescue him and take him back to Mexico. He never made it. A lady, and on the other side where we're gonna go right now, almost literally drowned in front of us. She was coming over, she couldn't do it, she got stuck, and an illegal alien that was in the bank of the US side swam, and I have the video to prove it, and rescued her, or else she would have drowned in front of us. We have a lot of drownings here, a lot of death.
The family of four just crossed, and they came across at the famous island where they planted the Venezuelan flag, and they get to stop halfway when they do that. The water never got above belly high, I'd say. On the man, it was a little higher on the mother, and to the son, the young son, it was probably almost up to his shoulders. And they came across, and as you see behind me, there's nowhere for them to go. They climbed the slope, and they stand there and they negotiate with the National Guardsman as if he can somehow magically remove this wire.
They all walked lined up.
Our president has created a situation where mothers and fathers are putting their children at incredible danger and grave risk. And he accepts no responsibility for that at all. What is wrong with these people? This is a nation. The nation has laws, and the laws say you can't do this. You can't cross this river without our permission. And our president says, come on in. But you can't. There's wire. And so now this young family, they're down at the bottom of this hill. They haven't left yet. They haven't crossed the river back into Mexico, but they're going to have to because they can't get up here. I am upset about the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, the sexual slavery, possibility of terrorists coming in here. All of the horrible things that an open border means. What I'm most angry about,
2-year-old girl crossing this river. It's on top of her father's shoulders. But they don't want him. Joe Biden, you can go straight to hell.
When you look at this current administration, there are warning signs on multiple fronts. I mean, you ultimately look at it and ask yourself, what is going good in America right now? Our economy is down, our military is down, we've lost global respect, crime is up, and you go on and on and on. And that brings us back to the realization that elections have consequences. And there is no, in my opinion, no more important time than now for the American people to understand their role and their voice and their power of moving the needle when it comes to this upcoming election. I don't know that we've ever had any more critical time in our nation's history than we're experiencing right now. But underneath all of that, in the midst of so many different reasons to take this election seriously, the southern border has to rank among the most important issues that our country is facing.
If we want to have a safe country, if we want to have to be secure, if we care about the future of our children, we need to support President Trump and stand behind him, because he was the one that started this, building the walls for our country to protect our country.
And I pray that Donald J. Trump wins the next election in November, because this stuff will stop immediately.
I've been jumping back and forth. That's my second time watching this. And if you want it, we have the DVD. Stan Fitzgerald, Jared Craig, and Donna also, you know, they did this. They put the money behind it. They wanted y'all to see. So this is the Veterans for America First with Gary. And I saw Gary over there on Facebook, still in the chat room. So people do watch us, everybody. I want y'all to know that there's a lot of people that pop on. They might not say anything. So the reason why I asked, are y'all watching Biden's farewell speech tonight? Because I ain't either, okay? Matter of fact, I am 15 minutes late getting over there on Spaces with the Veterans for America First. It's a public. You can get in there. You can ask questions. The whole nine. If you want to be more involved, is VFAF.us. Got it? All right. So everybody, y'all have a blessed night. Let me get over here on the X into Spaces, and we'll talk about all of y'all comments tomorrow, things that we didn't get into today. So Miss Karma, everybody, I've been reading Pegasus. I've been jumping from chat room. That's how we know we had a Loverboy troll on Lucretia page. So I just want to say thank y'all for taking time out to see how important the border and securing it really, really is, and to see that Stan and Jared and all of Veterans for America First had the gall to go down there to the southern border to see for themselves and do a documentary. So thank you, Jody Heiss. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you, General Flynn. Thank you, Tom Homan. All these people I have met personally, and they take their civic duties very seriously, everybody. So I'm going to give y'all enough time to go get your Mad Dog 2020. So every time that Joe Biden, his very last farewell, says that I did this, I'm saving America, I left it greater, I love Hunter, you can get toe up to, because this last 4 years of Loserville is finally getting ready to go. So y'all get over there to Fallback USA2.myshopify.com. You can support us that way. All Trump gear is still 20% off. The promo code is Trump25. Y'all can please donate to myself and David, because we're going to have more interesting people, more people that put their lives on the line.
and we're going to ask them the questions, not legacy media. No. We're going to ask them the question. So in order for us to continue doing stuff like this, please help us knock down that light bill. But if not, I will see y'all tomorrow. So like I said, get over there to X, get in the Veterans for America First spaces, and just get a little bit more involved. So y'all, are we singing this out, or is that it? I didn't holler. Faded to black.